Today on the Caucus, political editor Richard Stevenson on the president's wide-ranging press conference.
Good morning, everybody. Have a seat, please.
And Kate Zernike answers reader questions about the Tea Party's clout in 2012.
Hopefully, leaders at a certain point rise to the occasion, and they do the right thing for the American people. And that's what I expect to happen this time. Call me naive.
President Obama covered a lot of territory in his news conference, but he was really pushing two big messages out there. The first one was on the negotiations over the federal budget deficit and the need to raise the debt ceiling. And there, he really pressed the Republicans harder than he has so far to accept that they're going to have to include some kind of tax increases in any deal.
So the bottom line is this: any agreement to reduce our deficit is going to require tough decisions and balanced solutions. I think it's only fair to ask an oil company or a corporate jet owner that has done so well to give up that tax break that no other business enjoys.
He also talked a lot about the economy, which is clearly the issue that more than any other is likely to determine the outcome of his re-election race. His real message on the economy was, please be patient.
Every day that weighs on me. Every minute of every day that weighs on me.
The president was also asked several times about one of the big news stories of the moment, which is gay marriage. He did not go as far as to say that he would support gay marriage now. He listed a litany of steps that his administration has taken, emphasized that gay equality would in the end win out, but stopped short of explicitly backing gay marriage.
I'm not going to make news on that today. Good try, though.
The president has two timetables in mind that he was dealing with here. One is the next 5 or 6 weeks, which is going to be consumed by the negotiations on Capitol Hill over the debt limit increase. He's also, though, looking to November 2012 and keeping his eye on the idea that he needs to persuade the American people that the economy is getting better, that he understands what it's like out there. That's a tricky thing for him. People are going to begin to harden their perceptions of him as a president and be looking at the Republican alternatives. But he has the advantage right now of none of the Republican candidates really having caught fire, but still, he needs to persuade people that the economy is getting better, and the message of asking for patience is only going to work for him for so long.
Hi, I'm Kate Zernike with the New York Times. I wrote the article in today's paper about how the Tea Party, which had so much influence in the midterm elections, is now trying to transition from campaigning to governing and is finding a few difficulties. We took some of your questions about the Tea Party online, and now we're going to try to answer them. First question comes from someone identifying him or herself as Furious in USA. Why in the world is so much attention given to this fake AstroTurf group funded by right-wing millionaires to appear like a grassroots group? We got a lot of questions like this one. First thing I would say is that the Tea Party did not start as an AstroTurf group. It was genuinely a grassroots movement when it began. You don't need a lot of money to start a Tea Party. You need people who are angry with a lot of signs, and that, again, doesn't take a lot of money. A lot of these right-wing groups like Americans for Prosperity and FreedomWorks did seize on that movement when it hit the streets, and they're now trying to train it in favor of some of the legislation that they're pushing across the country, in particular anti-union legislation. So what they're doing is they're paying to train these groups. They're paying them in some cases as lobbyists, as in today's story. But it's important to sort of draw a distinction between what they are and what they are not doing. So FreedomWorks, which is the group that we talked about in the story today, is indeed pushing for the school choice legislation. It's interesting, though, to note that the Koch brothers, who are often sort of considered this big evil force behind the Tea Party, are not involved in the Pennsylvania fight. In fact, they looked at the Pennsylvania fight, and some Tea Party activists who were opposed to the school choice bill in Pennsylvania said, we don't want you to get involved. And so Americans for Prosperity, which is the Koch brothers group, has actually stayed out of that fight. They're not pushing the legislation. So they are genuinely listening to the grassroots group on the ground. Next one comes from Urbana, Illinois. Why is the New York Times spending time examining this group? This kind of media coverage is exactly what makes the Tea Party appear to be more powerful than they actually are. In exit polls after the midterm elections, 4 in 10 voters said that they were supporters of the Tea Party movement. So I think actually media organizations have an obligation to examine where this sympathy is coming from, where this support is coming from, and what it's all about. But as the story today shows, the Tea Party is not always as monolithic as it's often described. It's not always coherent or even united in its governing goals. As we head into another campaign, it's important to understand how well the Tea Party will be able to organize itself and how much influence it's really going to have going forward.